Hey guys, welcome back to Liquid Art. Today's painting is going to be to the beach. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Grab your stuff and we'll get started. So guys, remember this painting is all designed for beginners. It's all going to be step by step, so please just pop this video on pause at any point and paint at your own speed. So what you're going to need today, we've got our canvas board here in the middle, our 3 paintbrushes, big, medium and small, some kitchen towel and some water. We've then got on our palette over here, I've covered it in cling film for the easy cleaning, and then we've got the acrylic colours, black, white, yellow, I've got a sky blue or a turquoise, some red and another blue. So that's all the colours you're going to need today. The other thing that we're going to need is some masking tape. You could use sellotape if you wanted to, or washi tape, or just a tape that has quite a low tack, so we need to peel it off, but we don't want it to move too much. So this is going to be for the horizon line. If you don't have any tape, don't worry about it. You just need to kind of try and paint in a straight line. So for our first step, we're going to get started with this. This is all the tape we're going to use, so you only need a little bit. I'm just going to pull it across the width of our painting, and we want it just above the halfway mark. So I've just stuck it down nicely. Make sure there's no like bumps or anything like that, and then we're going to start painting. So what this is going to do, we're going to paint over it, and then we're going to peel it away, and we've got a perfect skyline. Nice and straight, and there's no like bumps or anything like that. So you're going to take your big paintbrush to start with, get it nice and wet, and then dab off that excess water. Take some white paint, and we're going to paint it above this tape line here. So now for the next bit, we're going to take some of that sky blue and we're going to rub it along this bit here. So we're just painting it above that white, and then we're going to push it into the white that's already on our canvas. So we're just trying to mix the colours here straight on our canvas. If you find that they're not blending very much, you might need a little bit more water. You might even need to add some more paint to it. We're just going to do this all the way across, and this is going to create a sky. So how we want this is we want more of a sky blue colour towards the top, and then more towards the horizon line we want it to get lighter. So we're trying to create a really nice gradient going across this area here. So I'm just adding some more white in. And notice how I'm trying to stroke across the whole of our canvas as well. We're not doing just one little bit, we're doing it across the whole board. So now I want there to be a little bit more of a contrast between the blue and the white. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit more white here and just lighten it a little bit more. We're then going to add a few different bits of white going halfway up this. We're just going to dab it in kind of a straight line and then blend it in. And this is going to be kind of where our clouds are in the sky. So now all we're doing is we're working on these clouds. So you could have them really bold, you could have them really pulling out colours, you could work loads of different layers into them if you wanted. But all I'm doing with this is I'm using the white to just break up some of that sky. You want them just really subtle, just so you can see just a few different tints of white into that sky. That's all I've done with this. So I've just dabbed it on and then blended it in just nice and slightly. So now for the next bit, we're going to start by working on the sand. So obviously we've just painted in blue, we're going to go into like whites and yellows. So you really want to clean your brush for this bit. You might even want to change your water, I haven't, but I'm just really getting this brush nice and clean. So when you guys are ready, peel off that masking tape, and we've got our horizon line. So it's a lovely straight line, and this is uber satisfying when you use tape. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start building up where our sand dune is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some yellow and some white and mix it together here on our palette. So it's a really nice, soft, yellowy white. That's what we want. And what we're going to do is we're just going to dab out where this big sand dune is. So it's like we're going to do a little hill shape here. And we're going to bring it right up to our horizon line and just cover it over just a tiny bit at the top. We are going to cover this with all the greens and stuff later on. I'm just adding some white into this as well, just to make it even lighter. So now for the next bit, when you guys are ready, we're going to mix a brown. So what you're going to do is you're going to take some blue, red and yellow, so all the primary colours, and mix them together. This will make a brown. And then we're going to add some white to that to make it really nice and soft. And we're going to use this into our sand. So we're going to make it a little bit lighter than this. We don't want it too dark, otherwise it's going to make some really horrible colours. But what we're going to do is we're just going to dab this on, and this is going to be the shadows, and kind of it's going to show different textures and kind of different depths going on in our sand. So we're just doing this bit here, just dabbing a few different bits on, and then we're going to blend them together in a second. So now a good wash of that paintbrush, a little bit of a dry, just so it's nice and clean, and we're just going to blend this together. So we're blending it into the paint that's already on the canvas, where it was that nice soft yellow. And we're just dabbing it nice and gently, just to build up these different textures going on in our sand. Good, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit more of the sand going on the beach. So I've just used a little bit of white and a little bit of the paint that was already on our paintbrush, just to paint that little bit there. So now what I'm doing, I'm taking my medium paintbrush with some blue and some of the sky blue, mixing it together here. And we're just going to use this to paint the sky, okay? So be really careful with this bit, that you don't cover up that lovely line that we made earlier. So you're going to bring that paint right up to next to it. You might want to use a smaller paintbrush. And we're just painting this sea in. So it's met the sky, and now we're going to bring it all the way down to this beach colour that we made, and just be really careful that you don't paint over that sand dune that we made. So now I'm just adding a bit of just the sky blue into it this time. So now give your paintbrush a really good wash for me and put it to the side. You're then going to take your smallest paintbrush, we're going to take some white here, and we're just going to dab it along the shoreline. So this is kind of our white horses that we're just going to dab along here. and then we're going to dab a few different bits into the sea as well. So we're just adding a few different colours into this just to show that there's movement in the waves. So you can add some blues into this as well. I'm using that blue that we used earlier as well, just to go between the white and the bit of the sand. So I'm just dabbing between that as well. When you're ready, wash your paintbrush, take a little bit more of that sandy colour that we used earlier this time. And we're going to use it a little bit here on top of this sand dune. So I'm mixing just a little bit of a slightly darker brown this time, and we're just adding a few different bits into here. So don't worry if you do too much or too little of this, because we are going to put all the grass coming out of it soon anyway. But we just want a few different bits here just to show a bit of shading. I'm also going to blend it in as well, so you might need to wash your paintbrush for this bit. So now we're going to mix some greens. So I've taken some blue and some yellow and some white and mixed it together here. I'm then going to mix a different colour green. So I've taken my more of the sky blue, some yellow and some white again to mix another type of green. So we've got two different types of green going on, so we can move backwards and forwards depending on which one we prefer. So I'm going to take this one to start with, and all I'm doing is just creating a few different strands with our grass. So I'm starting at the top of this sand dune and I'm going to work my way down, and then I'm going to do it in different places all across this painting. So notice I'm covering up our skyline and our sea just slightly, and I'm just painting the top of this dune. And don't worry if it blends in too much, we're going to build up with these with different colours and just build up the different shades in this grass. So now I'm doing a little bit here on top of this sand dune, so it's kind of one in front of the other for this painting. Now I'm just going to take some yellow and just watch how the yellow, just putting it straight onto a green, it just instantly mixes a more bright green. So that's what we're just going to do for a few bits along here. And now I'm just adding some more blades of grass as we go down this sand dune. So you can do as little or as much of this grass as you like, it's entirely up to you guys. Just remember that less is more, and we're just going to build up with different colours as we go along. So we're going to do the first bit of just marking out where our bits of grass are going to be, and then we're going to build up with different textures later on. So just try not to get too carried away with this. It's always a struggle painting is knowing that less is more, because we just tend to get a bit carried away and we just enjoy it a little bit too much. So just try not to do so much that you end up spoiling it. So now I found when doing the grass, it's a little bit easier if you come from one point. So if you notice with this bit, I started from one point and I just brushed it out from there in different angles, just pushing the grass upwards. So like I said earlier, all we're doing now is we're taking the darker colours, so the darker greens, and we're just brushing it into the blazer grass that we've already done. So just doing a few little bits here. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a kind of more of an orangey, deeper brown. So how we're going to do that is we're going to take our primary colours again, red, blue and yellow. And I want you to add a little bit more yellow into this when we do this. So just mixing it up here nicely. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white. And we're just making a really nice rich brown for this. So adding that little bit of yellow in. And just making that really nice brown colour. And what we're going to do with this, we're just going to add a few little bits into our grass area here. And we're going to do a few long strands. Now I've just added a tiny little bit of black into the brown that we've already used. I'm just painting along these strands again. So like I said, do as much or as little as you like. Now we're adding a few more bits of green in here. So it might be where it's kind of broken up. I don't want it to be seeing the beach so much, or I've missed a few blades of grass, or it might have blended too much. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix more of a yellowy green. So I'm just mixing your green again, but only with a little bit more yellow this time. And I'm going over these few areas. So we're using lighter colours first, and then we're going to go in with a darker colour in a second. Excuse my head for being in the way for this bit. I must have put the camera in a bit of a funny place for this one, so I do apologise. So now you're going to start using a darker green. So I've used a little bit of black, and I'm also going to mix a darker colour now. So green in with a little bit of black and go over it just slightly. So all I'm doing is I'm still working over the top of those grass areas with a darker green. That's literally all I'm doing at the moment. I'm just sprouting a few different bits over the top. So you might want to add a few different colours to this if you want to. You could use more of a brighter green or a darker green, it's entirely up to you guys, but that's all I'm doing around these bits. And now what I'm also doing is I've mixed a slight grey into the sand colour that we used earlier. So a bit of a lighter brown, and we're using a little bit of a grey this time. And all I've done is I've gone around the shoreline just a little bit, and I'm just doing a bit of a shadow around these sprouts of grass. So I'm just adding a little bit here. You don't have to do this bit if you want to. I just found it broke between that contrast of the sand colour and the grass colour. Just a few little bits over here on the beach as well. So it could be like somebody's walked in it, or it could be where the sea has pushed into it and made these kind of indentations into the sand. All I'm doing here is I'm just mixing and blending these two different bits together in the sand. So when you guys are ready, we're going to go on to the next bit. So we're going to mix some red and yellow together and a little bit of the brown that we used earlier to make a really nice bright brown. So it's more of an orangey brown than anything, and we're just going to go over the reeds, the brown reeds that we've done before. So I'm just dabbing the ends of this as well. So it kind of looks like, if you think of like hay and wheat, it's kind of the end of those. So we're just adding a few different bits on here. I'm doing it to this one as well. This bit's optional, but I thought it looked really nice when I done it. And then I added a tiny bit of white to it as well, just to give it a little bit more of a pop. So for this bit here, all I'm doing is I'm taking some white and I'm just brushing over parts of the beach, maybe where it went a little bit too much with the shading. I'm just correcting that now. So you guys might not need to do that, or you might want to mix a bit more of a sandy colour to do that already. And for this next bit, all I'm doing is I'm going to take a bit of a darker green, so I've used some black, some blue and some yellow, and mixing it together here. And we're just going over a few bits down here of these bits of grass. So if you see, it has really brightened these up and it's made them stand out a little bit more. They're quite subtle in with the sand. So I'm just brightening these up a little bit more. Just making them pop out a little bit. I haven't completely covered all the green that we already did. I'm just using a few little bits over the top just to pop them out. And now what I'm going to do this time, so I'm going to do a tiny bit more with this bit, using a little bit of a whiter one this time, so a little bit more of the darker green with some white as well. Just a few little bits over the top. Again, don't cover up all the work that we already did, just doing a few little bits here. And then when you're ready, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more of the brighter, more yellow green this time. I'm just going to go over these bits one last time, but with that more yellow green. Now I found this really popped them out. It really made the grass stand out a lot more. It's entirely up to you guys whether you do this or not. I think with the blue, the yellow really made it stand out and really made it contrast all the lovely colours in the background. So the yellow really helped this painting, I found. It's just something that was just slightly missing when it was going on. So once we've done that, guys, we are pretty much done. So I really hope you enjoyed this painting. If you did it, I'd love to see what you've done, so please send in your photos. We'll see you again soon.